I now call Minister Stewart Stevenson, 9 minutes.
Presiding Officer, thank you. We often say that climate change is one of the most important challenges facing our country, and many contributors to today's debate have made that very point. The other side of it, of course, is how we respond to making the transition to a low-carbon economy, which is clearly one of the greatest opportunities currently before us. We are fortunate in Scotland to have the natural resources, to have the expertise, to be at the forefront of a new global economic condition. We have tremendous potential in our renewable resource, in our capacity to develop carbon capture and storage, our high-tech research and in our business acumen. And as the Energy Minister said, we aim to meet the equivalent of 100% of our electricity demand from renewable sources. I note that some comment was made that seems over-ambitious. Well, many of the conversations with the power industry suggest that it is eminently achievable. But what we do not need, and absolutely will not promote as a government, is new nuclear. And the Tories, therefore, I am afraid, when we come to decision time, should not look for support for their amendment because of its inclusion of that subject. It is a hugely expensive technology of the last century, but it need play no part in Scotland's long-term energy future.
Alex Johnson.
Will the Minister accept that the statistics on which he bases his ambition to achieve 100% of our electricity requirement from renewable sources requires the transfer of power back and forward across the border, and that as such you have conceded that Scotland needs and will have its new nuclear power station, but it will be built in England and we will buy the electricity across the grid?
Stewart Stevenson.
Well, I don't accept that. I accept that, of course, there will be transfers of energy across the border going south, because we are already a significant exporter of electricity. We will become even more so. And I do note that over an extended period, I think it was nearly 2 years when Hunterston was not delivering to the network, that we did not miss nuclear capacity. Now, let me turn my time to some of the comments that various people made, and let me say that Lewis MacDonald, I think, made an effective contribution, very much of which I find I can agree. He said that transition is possible but not certain. And that is, of course, correct. It will not happen without our driving it forward. It will not happen through passivity. He talked about the need to join up different levels of government. And, of course, that is a perfectly proper point to make. One of the things that I do is jointly chair with Alison Hay of COSLA, a group that is working with local authorities. We're putting in place steps to seek to improve the contributions there by starting to engage officials rather than simply politicians and related decision makers. I would say that our relationship on this agenda in particular with the UK government, previous and present, has been very effective. I've certainly been at Environment Council with Chris Hume, with Caroline Spellman and with Ed Miliband. And while there are matters of detail where we disagree, we absolutely are aligned in our central purpose, and I found that we've worked well. The challenge, of course, is to take many of the countries of Europe along with us. At the last Environment Council, we moved to a substantially better position than we had been, where 26 out of 27 countries were able to sign up to a motion that made a recognition of the need for higher targets. Would that we can now translate that into higher targets across Europe. That is very important. We will continue to work with other administrations at UK, at local government and across Europe to seek to deliver on that. There was also comment for support for carbon capture, and I introduced in my intervention some of the issues that are there. I think in many ways there has been some timidity on the part of officials in various jurisdictions, perhaps less, more of an issue than perhaps ministers' enthusiasm or not. But we are now behind the curve, and we really don't have to be there. Alec Johnson talked about Tory over-enthusiasm. This is a novel concept which I look forward to hearing some more of. Just to give a little sense of some of the opportunities, the Scottish Wildlife Trust yesterday gave me a report which suggested that restoration of our peatlands alone could contribute 2.4 million tonnes of abatement per annum. Put that in the context of our current emissions in Scotland as a whole being 50 million, you almost could persuade yourself peatland restoration could do the job on its own. Actually, of course, it's a bit more complex than that, but it certainly is something where we want to continue to make progress. Kevin Stewart talked about the success of combined heat and power in Aberdeen, and indeed Lewis MacDonald on previous occasions has made contributions in similar nature in this chamber. So it is a very important demonstrator of what we can be done. Malcolm Chisholm understands that I won't make any comment on specific proposals where the government may need to be a decision maker. I will, however, highlight that we have supported over 50 small-scale biomass projects in small and medium-sized enterprises, representing some 12 megawatts of energy. So there certainly is a place for biomass. I hope, too, that he recognises the value of the contribution of the objective analysis brought to bear on applications by SEPA, which is, of course, a government agency. He also raised, as others did, the importance of having a good distribution of heat. One of the things that arose when I, in my previous ministerial role, visited the Michelin plant in Dundee was the difficulties they were finding in getting an appropriate heritable right-of-way, otherwise known in England as a way-leave, for getting their heat to adjacent houses and businesses. And I think there are some issues that we need to revisit that. John Wilson referred to the Climate Challenge Fund, supported over 400 projects in communities right across Scotland, very substantial contribution to empowering people in Scotland and making sure that we're all moving together on this agenda. Jackson Carlaw wished us to genuflect before the government's achievements. This is something we will certainly take away and consider. Some of our knees are getting a little creaky and make genuflection a little more difficult than in the past, but when it is at the altar of SNP achievement, it is something I'm prepared to sacrifice my knees for. There are, of course, significant difficulties in New...
You have 1 minute, Minister.
As well as anything else. It is simply not something that we in Scotland can make as much of in terms of new jobs and new opportunities as putting our efforts into renewable technologies. And that is where we need to be in Scotland. Turning, Presiding Officer, to the Labour amendment, it's fine as far as it goes, but of course it is flawed in the sense that it asks for more money. This is the wrong time. This is the wrong place. We look forward to engaging with the Labour Party and with others on a number of things. Let me reflect at the end, as I did at the beginning. We have a challenge and an opportunity. The past 4 years have seen much uncertainty in the global economy. Our important way forward is through low-carbon growth. That gives us energy security. It gives us new jobs. We as a government wish to encourage demand for low-carbon goods and services. I hope Parliament will support these aims at decision time and vote for the government's motion.